recording tonight. So I want to welcome everyone to our third Tuesday, our third week of Advent. And we are so happy that you've all joined us here, seeing some friendly older faces, being more mature, or folks who signed on before, and some new folks as well. So very exciting. And I will just offer us up. Here's how we run things at Sanctuary Online. If you've been a part of us before, you know that we'd love you to enable your video so that we can see each other's faces. One of the best parts of Sanctuary Online has been connecting during this time and meeting new people and enlarging our tents, enlarging our tribe. Also, if you put yourself into gallery view, that way you can see all the people's faces rather than just speaker view where you can see one person. Then also, we'd love it if you'd open your chat box and you could type in there your first and last name, your email address, and that way each week we'll send you an email about what's coming up in the next weeks at Sanctuary Online. You might want to put it where you're calling in from, maybe how you connected with us. We really appreciate that. And we're also excited if some of you are a little bit like me, either you're overscheduled, you're harried, or you just forget things. We've got a text feature. And if you go ahead and put your cell phone number in the chat, then we will go ahead and grab that. And Barb Crabtree will send you a little reminder on Tuesday afternoons. Says, hey, don't forget Sanctuary Online tonight. Here's what's happening. And so we love that. Barb, I think you're nearly up to 60 people every week messaging folks. So that's a fabulous tool. And we want
not quite, Joe.
Not quite 60. Hey, I'm a minister. Barb,
not quite, but there's plenty of room if you want to add your phone number.
Hey, minister math, Barb. We round up, right?
Absolutely.
Welcome to Sanctuary in the Woods. Our brand has expanded this year to become Sanctuary at Sea. Many of you have cruised with us and gone to gorgeous countries and sunshine and maybe had an adult beverage or two on the beach. Sanctuary on the Road. We were hoping to camp this summer, and with COVID, we actually had to combine our Sanctuary on the Road team with our Sanctuary Online team. And we actually went camping online. People think that sounds a little foolish, but we had a fabulous time. But these are our current communities at Sanctuary. And we come here every Tuesday night. The last Tuesday of the month, normally, is our renowned book club. And so we have been going through book after book after book. And because the last Tuesday of December is Kwanzaa, and we're doing a special Kwanzaa celebration, we've chosen an extra big book and given you an extra amount of time to read it. So we're excited to be reading right now Sarah Waters. The book is called The Paying Guest. Cheryl, you want to speak to that for just a minute? You're enjoying that, right? You're about halfway through, I think.
I'm not anywhere near halfway through, and probably Kristen is a better person to talk to it because she's further along and she has quite the story to tell.
Kristen, I hear you're really enjoying the book.
I am more than halfway through. I think when we chose the book, I noted that NPR's reviewer called it sensual. There is a bit that's sensual. Quite. And then it twists and turns all over again, and it's completely different. It's got a little bit of everything in it.
All right, there's our tease, my friends. You have like 6 weeks to read this book before January 26th. So we're excited. Honestly, this is one of our best pieces of advertising. I think last month, 3 people didn't even read the book, but said they enjoyed the class so much, or the group of people that joined together. They came anyway. They didn't even care about reading the book. So Cheryl hosts those. And it's a wonderful, again, January 26th, The Paying Guest by Sarah Waters. Get it? It comes highly recommended, right, Kristen?
Highly.
Yeah. We want to also say thank you again. We are still receiving contributions from our Giving Tuesday folks. We busted all our goals and are really, really appreciate that. The one thing that's good for you all to know is with the money we raised, over $5,400, since it costs us about $100 in just the costs to put Sanctuary Online up online each week, we actually paid for all of next year. So thank you for that. We really appreciate that. And here's our Advent series. This is our 3rd week. Our first week, we came to you with hope. And we want to thank again Kim and her lovely daughters. They did our candle lighting liturgy in the beginning. And then last week was peace. And Reverend Stedney and her daughter Hannah from two sides of our nation did the peace that week. And this week is Edie Disler, her kids Zach and Zoe. Y'all can wave, little gang there. We're really excited for you all to bring our candle lighting liturgy in just a moment. And then tonight, Ken's teaching is going to be, let's see, multifaceted, right, Ken? What the world's great religions believe about and how they practice joy. And for many of you, you know, we're also right, I think, in the middle of Hanukkah. So we're going to blend a little bit and have a little Hanukkah at the end of our evening as well. Our conversation tonight is about favorite ornaments, and hopefully you have either sent me in a photo of one of your favorite ornaments, or you still have time. So if you want to Facebook Messenger me while we're doing things tonight, I will fit them into the PowerPoint and we'll share that. And oh my goodness, tonight you're going to be blessed. We have two amazing performers. Together Blessed is made up of Jane Syftestad and Camille Rodriguez Araullo, and they will be sharing their rendition of Joy to the World to close us tonight. So, whew, that is a mouthful. And therefore, one last shot, a chance to get your Advent wreath out or to get your candle. And then Ken, I think you're gonna go ahead and start things off, and then Edie and Zach and Zoe with our liturgy. You folks can read along and enjoy. Oh, I always forget. How are these guys doing, Ken or Tom?
They're doing great. They're all doing great.
Our goaty goats.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go, my friend.
Baby goats.
Baby goats.
Okay, welcome Edie and Zach and Zoe. We're so glad to have you all with us this evening. So if you will join me, we're going to light our third Advent candle tonight. God of light, bless this Advent candle of joy, that we may be your light and warmth to all we meet in this holy season.
Sometimes not like a whitey.
The promise of joy is as old as our faith. The prophet Isaiah said, "For you shall go out with joy and be led back in peace."
The mountains and the fields before you shall burst into song.
And all the trees of the field shall clap their hands.
Then the angels came in the darkness of night and promised joy to the terrified shepherds.
Help us remember that your gift of joy does not depend on what happens, but was given on that starlit night and can never be taken away.
In this holy season, renew the gift of joy in our lives, our relationships, our homes, and our world. Along with hope and peace, help us bring joy into our broken world.
And now as a community separated by space, but united by hope, peace, and joy, we light the third Advent candle. We light the candle of joy. Thank you, Distlers.
Thank you,
Thank
Disler.
you.
All right. And Ken, why don't you begin sharing tonight about what the world's great living religions believe about and how they practice the theme, our theme tonight, joy.
Okay, thank you, Joe. In the first 2 weeks of Advent, we explored the themes of hope and peace in 6 of the world's great religions, and we found it easy to find similarities in what they believed and taught. We also found it pretty easy to find some pretty significant differences, especially between the religions of the Eastern world and the Western world. So tonight, our theme is joy. And the first thing we will already have noticed is that this is the first time the color of our Advent wreath candle has changed from purple to pink. Traditionally, this is called the Gaudete candle, Gaudete meaning rejoice in Latin. Traditionally, originally, the 4 weeks of Advent were a time of fasting for really devout Christians. And so part of why it was called the Week of Joy is because during this week, they were allowed to break the fast for a few days and eat something. So that was a great occasion for joy for them. But in a more serious way, the Gaudete candle is the candle of joy because it expresses excitement about the fact that the birth of Christ is drawing near. So this week, as we look at our theme of joy, we're going to begin with the two great Eastern religions. Remember that Buddhism grew out of Hinduism, that both of them believe in and teach reincarnation. They both believe in and teach the purpose of this human life is to do whatever is necessary to be able to release yourself from the wheel of rebirth and not have to come back again. Although they express that and find some different ways to accomplish that. So it's not surprising that when we come to the theme of joy, what each of those religions teaches about joy is also related to how you accomplish samsara or relieving yourself of having to come back here and be reborn again. So Hinduism teaches that there are three kinds of joy. There is sativ joy, which is joy that is spiritual in nature. There is rajasic joy, which is joy that is mental and emotional in nature. And there's tamasic joy, which is physical joy. Hinduism teaches that we can achieve spiritual joy by living lives of moral purity first. Second, by always being honest in our business dealings. And third, especially by acts of compassion and charity. And Hinduism teaches that we can achieve physical and emotional joy by acquiring fame and the admiration of other people, by being wealthy and own a lot of possessions, and by having positions of authority and power in the world. And it teaches that we can achieve physical joy by satisfying all of our sexual desires and by focusing on sensual pleasures, including things like just good food and all the physical comforts that we can acquire. So Hinduism teaches that all three of these kinds of joy exist in every single human life, and that the secret to escaping rebirth is not just figuring out an appropriate balance between these three things in life, but that learning to deny mental and physical and emotional joy, because it is only by elevating spiritual joy literally as much as possible to the exclusion of the other two kinds of joy that we can be assured of escape from rebirth. That's why we see so many iconic images in Hinduism of the gurus and the yogi, the spiritual beings who live lives of asceticism and self-denial. We often have this image of them living in a cave in the mountains somewhere in India, and people making pilgrimages to them to try to learn from them. Some of you, I think, are old enough as I am to remember when the Beatles made their famous trip to India to meet the Maharishi Mahesh Yogi. And it was a huge story all over the world. And the Maharishi showed up in a silver Rolls Royce, and it was the top news story for a 24-hour cycle all over the world. In other words, it was exactly the opposite of everything that Hinduism teaches. Hinduism teaches that true joy in this world does not come from pleasure or from possessions or from wealth, that those things are temporal, that they are fleeting, and that they are literally designed to weigh our souls down and to keep us bound to this physical world. In the Bhagavad Gita, which is one of the most important sacred writings of Hinduism, Lord Krishna says, if you just think about it, you will realize that each one of the mental and emotional and physical joys, that is the ones that can be experienced in your five senses, each one of them can have a beginning and an ending in this life, while spiritual joy is eternal. And so he says the way to acquire spiritual joy and avoid rebirth is to avoid any kind of joy that can have its beginning and its ending in this world in one human lifetime. So true and spiritual and eternal joy comes from being totally free from attraction to these earthly things, and especially dependence upon them for your peace of mind and contentment in the world. Only then can our souls ascend to their truest and highest nature, which is to return to pure spirit, free of any kind of physicality. Now, the best known teaching about joy in Buddhism is called mudita, and it says there are two kinds of joy. There is selfish joy and there is unselfish joy. And this mudita is often expressed in terms of a story about a child. And it says in every child at a young age, it will become obvious that this child will express both selfish joy and unselfish joy. For example, unselfish joy would be the child receiving joy from sharing. Selfish joy would be the joy a child would receive from refusing to share and demanding to keep everything for oneself. And then the story says, if there is an adult in this child's life, and this adult reinforces unselfishness, then this child will grow up to be an adult who actually has a chance to move forward and progress towards samsara, or the freedom from having to be reborn. But if there is not that adult present in that child's life, then that child will grow up to find joy only in selfish behavior and will live a life that will keep them bound to this earth. At the end of that story, the Buddha says, if it were not possible for you to choose unselfishness over selfishness, I would not ask you to do it. So Hinduism and Buddhism teach that this life offers many, many different sources of joy, but escape from rebirth comes from detaching oneself from joy that is selfish or that has a beginning and an ending in this world, and elevating joy that is spiritual and eternal in its nature. Now, when we move from the East to the West, we see much less emphasis on denying or resisting joy that is associated with this physical world. We know it's still there in extreme asceticism in some Christian fundamentalism. But the emphasis is really on joy as contentment, joy as a sense of well-being, joy as confidence, joy as hope. Christianity teaches that joy is found in an assurance that God is in control of everything all the time, regardless of the circumstances in which we may find ourselves. In Paul's letter to the Philippians, he writes this: I have learned to be content with whatever I have. I know what it is like to have little, and I know what it is like to have plenty. In any and all circumstances, I have learned the secret of either being well-fed or going hungry. And then he tells us that secret in this one sentence. He says, I can do all things that strengthen me through Christ who lives in me. Now, remembering that Christianity grew out of Judaism, both Jewish and Christian teachings make a distinction between happiness and joy. Happiness depends on what happens. Happiness will come and go depending on our immediate circumstances. But for the Jew and for the Christian, joy is faith in and a reliance upon God in all things. This is what the psalmist meant by referring again and again to God's love as steadfast and enduring forever. Now, I'm sure you've noticed that there's something new behind me tonight. That's because while those of us who are Christians are celebrating Advent, our Jewish friends are celebrating Hanukkah, the festival of lights. Hanukkah celebrates the rededication of the temple in Jerusalem in the year 165 before the Christian era. But let's take just a moment to remember why the temple was being rededicated and the miracle that Hanukkah commemorates, because this is a truly amazing story. So the Greek Empire rose to power under Alexander the Great. When Alexander the Great died, his 5 generals fought for years to try to control different portions of this empire that he had built. And that included Judea and Jerusalem, where the temple had been built and dedicated. Now, at first, the Greeks allowed the Jews to continue practicing their religion, to continue observing their civil law and their customs. And so there wasn't that much of an effect upon them. But then when Antiochus Epiphanes III came into power, he decreed that he would destroy every vestige of Jewish religion and Jewish culture. And so he had a Greek gymnasium built, either attached to the temple, or some people believe it was actually inside of the temple grounds. And the custom among Greeks was that in order to enter the gymnasium, you had to be naked. Now, that was against Jewish law. It was highly offensive to Jewish custom. And so Antiochus decreed that every Jew had to strip naked and step into the gymnasium at least once, or they would be put to death. He desecrated the temple by having the images of Greek gods built in the Holy of Holies, and he had pigs sacrificed on the altar. He also had his soldiers go out and build statues of Greek gods and altars in every town and village all around Jerusalem. About 167 before the Christian era, a group of his soldiers entered a small town. They built a statue, they built an altar, and then they demanded that the local Jewish priest, whose name was Matthias, they demanded that he sacrifice on this altar. When he refused, the Greek officer who was in charge threatened to kill him. And so someone, it was probably one of Matthias's 5 sons, came forward and killed that officer. When the other soldiers started to attack, the other Jews attacked them and ended up killing all of the other Greek soldiers who were with them. So very quickly, Matthias and his 5 sons became known as the Maccabees, or the Hammers, and they led a revolt, a rebellion against the Greek presence in their land. So when Antiochus found out about this, he sent an army of 35,000 Greek soldiers, and they met a Hebrew army of only 7,000 soldiers. But because the Hebrews knew the topography of the land, and because they knew how to fight a guerrilla war, they annihilated this Greek army of 35,000 soldiers. When this victorious Jewish army entered Jerusalem, they found their temple desecrated and defiled. Then after months and months of cleaning and clearing and rebuilding, on December the 25th, in the year 165 before the Christian era, the temple was rededicated in the first celebration of Hanukkah, the Festival of Lights. It was to be an 8-day celebration, but when they went into the Holy of Holies to light the lamp that was there to burn for those 8 days, they found that the Greeks had left only one portion of oil, enough to burn for 1 day. But they lit the lamp anyway, and to their amazement, the lamp burned exactly 8 days with just that portion of oil for 1 day. Today, that oil is called the oil of joy for the poor in spirit. So now 1 candle is lighted each day of the 8 days of Hanukkah on the menorah to commemorate the miracle of God's protection of the Hebrew people and the miracle of the oil of joy and the rededication of the temple 165 years before the Christian era began. So tonight, we're going to light another Hanukkah candle, and as we do, Rachel is going to say the prayer for this evening. Rachel?
I like mine.
Yep.
I'm gonna light mine too, Ken. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kitshanu bo mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Hanukkah. Amen.
Thank you, Rachel. So tonight we celebrate the light and warmth of the Advent wreath and of the Hanukkah menorah. Thank you.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Thanks, Ken. And how we do it here, folks, go ahead and unmute yourselves and give Ken a little bit of love. And Rachel, thanks so much.
Yes, that was
jumping in there.
beautiful.
Thank you, Rachel. That was beautiful.
Ken,
Beautiful.
the Apocrypha has the Maccabees. That's the tale of the Maccabees in the Apocrypha, right? There's a book.
Yes, there's
of the
first and
Maccabees?
second. Yes. Yeah, and that is the story of how this family led the revolt that threw the Greeks out and restored the temple. Yes.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Any other questions on that to Ken? I mean, a couple, normally, Ken, we don't have quite as much time to chat, but if we've got a moment here, if anybody has any questions or comments on that, we've got time before we jump into our ornament conversation tonight. And thank you. So many folks have sent us ornaments. I want to make sure we get to those as well. Anyone at all?
And I just wanted to say that's really cool to hear all of the history that you were able. I feel like I picked up 10 or so different things tonight that I didn't know about, some basics of other religions. So thank you.
Good.
Good.
It
All
was
right.
a great
Go ahead.
review for me from old days.
Is that Carolyn?
Yes,
Go ahead, speak, my friend.
it was just a great review to hear all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Ken. It was wonderful. Yeah.
You're welcome, Carolyn.
Just that it was a great review. I knew that stuff from seminary, but it's been 50 years. Not quite that long, but a long time.
Right.
So just a great review. Thank you for sharing it and bringing it all back.
Thank you.
Maccabees.
Absolutely. Well, then I'm going to go ahead and move us a little forward, my friends. It's an exciting night because tonight was our favorite ornaments, and many of you have sent those ornaments in. So Cheryl, I think I'm going to tee it up with you, and let me share my screen down here, and we'll go ahead and get these ornaments up. Cheryl, this one is kind of a special ornament, right? If you can see that, it's a little bit fuzzy on mine, but it's a gorgeous red ornament on the tree hanging at Sanctuary, and it's of our sanctuary stone on a night when it snowed. Remember that, Cheryl?
Yes, on a night when it snowed. And I would say that all of the ornaments that people are going to show are going to be very special, I'm sure. This one was created by Kelly, my sister, and she wanted everyone who was one of the, we could do a gift giving for some of our big donors at the end of each year. And that was a gift that she created. She made those, and she colored them from the inside out, which was really cool for last year. Yeah, for some of our big supporters. So that was
Beautiful.
Yeah.
What?
So thanks to Kelly on that. Yeah, they were handmade last year.
Yeah. Yeah, and made them that way.
And
So-
Ken, although that's part of your beautiful tree, for some reason there's also little tiny burrows on your tree. Could you explain that there? What's going on at Sanctuary?
Yeah. 45 years ago, after Tom's and my Holy Union in Chicago, we went our first honeymoon to Mexico, and we left Mexico City in a bus and went to Cuernavaca, and then the beautiful little mountain town of Tasco, which is famous for silver mining. And from a street vendor, there we bought these 6 little burros made out of corn husks. And we said, these will be our first Christmas ornaments together. And they have been on every tree since. They're getting a little ragged now, but we still have 6 of them. And they were our first Christmas ornaments, and they've been on every tree for 45 years.
Good, good. Thanks, Ken. Yeah, they're standing the test of time there amongst all the other ornaments on that tree. Thank you. Now, the rest of the ornaments, friends, what I did is I kind of put them in the order that which you sent them in to me. I figured that was the only safe thing to do. So, Ellen, if you would maybe unmute yourself and share these. One is an ornament and the other is your fabulous Christmas tree.
Yeah, so I couldn't do just one thing. So,
no, it's okay.
the ornaments that you see on the left, there's actually 3 of them there that I want to talk about. So there's the icicles, and those are from my step grandmother. She had those on every tree that I ever knew that she had, and she originally got them back in the 1950s. So they're very special to me. The little snowflake there, it's kind of, well, not so little, that was made by my Mimi. She was somebody that, she crocheted, she made all kinds of things, and she made those as for my first Christmas away from home. She made that. And then the angel that you're seeing there was Roundman's grandmother. She made that back in the 1970s, probably around 78 or 79. And that's been on every Christmas tree since then. She actually used one of her handkerchiefs that she had years ago. And the tree itself is symbolic of Roundman because he was very much of a tie-dye hippie guy. And so
yeah
wasn't he? Yeah. And so I was really happy this year to find not just a tie-dye skirt to go along with it, but the actual tree that just kind of really honors him in my new home. So that's
wonderful.
Oh, Ellen, and yeah, you moving into a new home this year and being able to put those memories up. I never was able to meet Roundman, but the stories, just are overflowing, right?
They're all true.
Yeah,
they're all true. Yeah.
He sounds like just an absolutely wonderful man. So I'm so happy you were able to bring him and bring his spirit into your new home this year.
Thank you, Ellen.
Thanks, Ellen. Let's see, Janice from Canada. Janice, I know you've got a story behind your cardinal, but I'm kind of partial to your second little ornament there. I just love it. You'll have to read that so folks can see it.
It says, "The heat makes me so puffy." I just really liked it.
And it's a marshmallow. I just
It is. It's a s'mores. It's sitting on the graham wafer with the chocolate.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, thank you. And your cardinal?
The cardinal, I add a cardinal to my tree for every one of my loved ones that have passed. So this one was added this year for my sister, my oldest sister, who passed away in April. So she's joined the crew.
Oh, thank you, Janice.
That's a cool thing to do.
That's a beautiful tribute. Absolutely. Tony Cruz. What do we have there, Mr. Santa Hat?
Yes.
Thank you for that. At least Tony's dressed for the occasion.
Favorite ornaments. I have most of my tree is decorated in pigs because I collect pigs. And so I got the pig, and she spins. And then my luscious red lip and pearl necklace pig that I got in South Beach.
Fabulous, Tony. Thank you. And we appreciate you're dressing your hat tonight. Very festive. Appreciate that. Or is it your head just cold? Okay, and tonight, Rachel, what do you have here? Oh, sneak back in, Ray.
There she is.
Sorry, I was changing some laundry.
Happens.
That's my backpacking backpack that you gave to me a long time ago. Probably we took our first backpacking trip when I was 8.
5, 6, 7, something. Yeah.
But mom let me carry my own stuff on my own back when I was a little kid, and I still love backpacking. I did a section of the Appalachian Trail in October, and it's still just one of my favorite things to do, to get out into nature and carry everything that I need on my own back and be alone out in the woods. So that's my favorite ornament.
Which we really appreciate you too, being alone in the woods, don't we, Rachel? No.
Yeah, you worry about me. I have to update you every night.
I'm like, we need like a sat phone. Like, are you okay tonight? Are you okay tonight? Are you okay tonight?
Emergency GPS if something goes terribly wrong.
I'm glad that
Put a
has
chip on her.
long ago has come to fruition, eh, Ray?
Yeah.
Good deal. Kay, you have some Coca-Cola polar bears.
That's cute.
Yes, at the beginning of my relationship with my wife, I collected every Coca-Cola thing that I could find, and we actually have 2 trees up this year, but we don't actually have ornaments on the trees. So I had taken pictures of this as we were decorating for Christmas, and I actually have the lights on that truck.
On the Coke truck, yeah.
Yeah, so we have all sizes and shapes of bears, but these are the ones that are in the picture.
Thanks, Kay. Appreciate that. And so the Coke truck actually lights up. You could use it as a night light. We're looking for one of those in our house. We're having night light issues, so maybe we could have a negotiation afterwards. Okay.
That's cute.
Eric, you sent a couple in. You gotta unmute, my friend. Unmute, Eric.
Unmute, sorry.
There you go. That's okay.
The first one was handmade. I just went out to the tree and took a couple of pictures. The second one is an angel, and Jerry always had angels everywhere. And on that tree, there's probably 20 of those angels.
Oh, wow.
So,
Thank you. Thank you. And who made the first one? The handmade
I
ornament?
think Jerry did,
Yeah.
but I'm not positive.
Oh, they're beautiful. Jane Ann, as usual, you have an ornament or 35. So I put my favorite one at the very end, Jane Ann, to prove that you're Canadian. It's a freaking bag of chips. I love that.
That's actually the newest one this year. I took my first camel ride from the top to the bottom of Petra. I've never been so mortified, horrified in my life. But the camel Zuzu, at the bottom, there was a guy selling camel ornaments. So it made it all the way home from Petra. The snowman beside it, when my partner Stephen died in 2008, I stood over the counter of Pier 1 because I knew the manager in the mall near me, and said, I'm devastated because Christmas was our favorite season. Can I work for you just for the holidays? And so they gave me this hand-blown Italian snowman. It's done in 3 breaths, like,
oh wow.
So one's the body, the head, and the carrot nose is like it's actually a mistake, but it turns out to be the carrot. And then the husband blows them, and his wife paints them, and I've kept it unaffected since 2008.
Beautiful.
And then the margarita,
Yeah,
well, that speaks
goes
for
without
itself.
saying.
And then
You're getting some thumbs up from the crowd, Jane Ann.
but it's my favorite drink. And then I just added the cardinal, we buried my parents, both of them, on Wednesday of last week. And we had 2 cardinals by each of the urns, and they do mate for life. And the male comes back to find his lover. We saw it right in front of our ski chalet, the hawk that swooped down and took the female. But the male came back every year, spring, summer, fall, winter, to check to see if she was there. And so it became my parents' favorite bird. And so my mom gave me my tree 30 years ago as a housewarming gift. If you could see it bare, it has absolutely hardly any needles on it. But now that it's laden, so the cardinal's in her memory because she passed May the 18th. And my dad, there's one for him as well, who passed on November 3rd. And we just buried them a week ago. And the chips is my weakness. And one of my friends bought me a bag of chips and said, "Good luck fasting."
Oh, no fair. No fair.
And if you see to the right of it, that's me taking the picture in the other ornament with my iPad. It's just,
yeah, I can.
So I have 30 years worth of ornaments, and they're all unique and special. And I sit by the tree and just give thanks for all of the people and what they represent. So I appreciate sharing with you.
Oh, well, we're looking forward to your tree. Jane Ann is our 4th and final family to do our Advent wreath lighting next week. So Jane Ann, we threatened you with taking a look at your tree all completed next week. So we're looking forward to that. And Jane Ann, you're also still sending out, are you sending out shortbread cookies? You're also cooking shortbread cookies while you're fasting.
Shortbread for Sanctuary. I've done 2 more, I'm up to 2,000 cookies that I've done. And I just shipped out some today, but I still have some. I can't guarantee that you'll get them for Christmas, but they do say fragile Santa delivery on them. And everything I've sent so far to other people and clients and whatever has arrived in one piece. So, if you PM me your address, you donate the $25 for each plate to Sanctuary, and you'll get the cookies in the mail on a beautiful plate. You saw them, Joe, what I sent out today.
You know what? I'm actually wondering if I can show people how stunning they were, but let me try that at the end of the night, Jane Ann. I'll show you in that way. So beautiful. Thank you for those ornaments, and we look forward to your tree next week.
Sent you a picture.
Kristen, I think you're actually finishing our evening, and this one is just perfect. I cropped it to make it bigger so we can see exactly what's going on there.
Yeah, it's 2020, and I don't have my tree up yet. I don't have my ornaments unpacked, but my mom was visiting me in November, and before she left, she said, "Here, we got you this ornament." And in a perfect 2020 way, it's laughable as well, because as cute as it looks, you got, I guess, some kind of Santa with the mask and the coronavirus, the toilet paper, and some hand sanitizer. But I'll show it live here too. My mom let me know it costs $10 and it's only one-sided. So we also had a good laugh about how 2020 is a joke and what a little piece of this is. But it's my 2020 ornament. So
I love it.
I'll think back fondly on this year with laughter.
Oh, fabulous. Fabulous. Thanks, Kristen. Appreciate it. And welcome back. We missed you when you were scuba diving last week in Mexico?
I was scuba diving in Mexico, yes.
Yeah. None of us are really feeling too badly there.
So cute.
I'm going to try and do a different thing here and see if I can. Yes. Anybody, if you'd like to PM Jane Ann, how's that? Can you guys see that? Those are your shortbread cookies that you were baking up for Sanctuary?
Yep, they're bite-sized stars. And there's about 20 some odd on each plate, and they're on a cut glass plate.
Well, we certainly appreciate that. Jane Ann's been incredibly generous there, and making those for folks who order them and then sending the proceeds on to Sanctuary. So thanks so much, Jane Ann.
You're welcome.
So tonight, I want to just remind folks that next week is, let's see, I was careful of the photo I chose for this tonight, but as many of us are either leaping like, please, Jesus, 2021, get here, or we're just like leaping and hoping a net will appear, or if we're just jumping out of 2020, whatever it was. I just thought this was a good little image for us to say, next week, we will finish our 4-week Advent series, and it will, our community conversation are going to be 2020 reflections and 2021 intentions. So I'd love, again, I might try and have you guys message me, and then I will put them in calligraphy, just like we did tonight on the slide deck, and we can speak to them. So if you want to think about that before next week, again, it's nice to get them before 8:15 Eastern time, just saying. But I also was able to get everybody's ornaments in that sent them to me tonight. So I'm gonna just roll with that and allow that to happen. So tonight, my friends, we're gonna end a little bit early. That's kind of unusual for us. So maybe I should let me do some advertising here first. Again, Jane Ann, and next week is Love. And also we are gonna close with Kim Wisdom is gonna sing Go Light Your World for us. A beautiful, beautiful rendition. And then just please mark your calendars again. It's supposed to be book week. We understand that. But we are so excited. Ken, maybe you can speak to this too. I know you've gotten RSVPs from 5 or 6 leaders in our community that are going to come on and talk about Kwanzaa, right? So Ken, you want to unmute yourself, maybe share a bit? Can you unmute, Ken?
Joe?
Ken?
Joe?
Yes, Cynthia?
Well,
Ken?
before we get into next week,
Yep.
I just wanted to say that, you know, I have a lot of things here, but it's hard with the pandemic to pull it all together, you know, for getting my ornaments out about that Darlene and I shared.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't do that, but I do have a small tree. But I want to take half of the credit, not half. I want to take 1/8 of the credit for Ken and Tom's ornaments from Mexico because I planned that trip. So there would have been no Mexico without me.
Nobody goes anywhere without you and MCC, Cynthia.
There you go. I planned that whole trip.
I love that.
45 years ago, Cynthia was the vice moderator of our board of directors where I was pastor in MCC Chicago, owned her own travel agency, and literally she planned every single move of that trip for us.
There you go.
And it was wonderful.
That's
it was
amazing.
really, really wonderful.
Amen.
Yeah.
So that's my ornaments tonight. That's my offering tonight.
I'm going to give you credit, more than 1/8 of a credit for that, Cynthia.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Loved every minute of it.
Yeah.
And Ken,
so
you
Joe,
Kwanzaa?
Yes. As Joe has said, on the 29th, our entire evening is going to be on Kwanzaa. There are 7 principles in Kwanzaa, and like we have behind me, you already see we kept our World AIDS candle lit in the middle of the wreath, and then there is the Advent wreath, and then there is the menorah behind us, and on the 29th we're going to add the beautiful Kwanzaa Canara, which is also a candelabra of candles, each of which holds a special meaning. There are 7 of them because there are 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and we have 7 leaders in the African American community who have agreed to make a presentation of those 7 principles to us. We're calling this session Black Lives Matter and Black Culture Matters, because Kwanzaa is a celebration of the principles underlying African American culture. And it's if you've never seen a Kwanzaa celebration, we're going to be condensing 7 into one night, but it's going to be wonderful. And we have 7 amazing leaders from 5 different states all over the country who are going to be making that presentation on that night.
I hate that I always say not to be missed, but that is not to be missed. So, looking forward to that. Oh, my friends. Well, God bless. I know often we send you 5 or 6 minutes late. So tonight we'll send you a couple minutes early. And we just wanted to again say, as you walk into these next couple weeks of celebration and of connection, we know it's going to be a little bit different than it's been in the past. And we just ask that you make safe choices, make healthy choices, reach out to folks in whatever way you can. If you need help with Zoom or how to host a Zoom call or something, my goodness, please call me. We'd be happy to do that. We're actually hosting one. We normally have a monstrously large Christmas Eve party with some friends of ours, and we're going to be hosting just a massive Zoom drop-in on Christmas Eve, so you can wish us luck. But again, get creative, right? Reach out. There are so many folks who this really is. Some folks are rolling. Some folks are quite impacted by either the isolation or the changes that are occurring, or the choices that families are having to be making. So I just encourage you, reach out. God knows you'll be doubly blessed as you reach out to somebody in need. And speaking of doubly blessed, these two women have blessed our denomination for so long, out of California. I guess MCCLA, is that right, Ken? Jane,
right? Yes.
And Camille. Jane, I think, is the music director out at MCCLA, yes. And she has very often been part of our coordinating musical guests at our global denominational conferences. And so Jane and Camille together are Together Blessed. And I am going, oops, I meant to be sharing you this nice little slide with their names on it, giving them credit. Together Blessed. And then I'm gonna stop sharing and send you off with this musical tribute. Let me make sure it's getting to you in large screen. And that almost worked. There we go. Enjoy.
Fill us with
and Camille. Oh my God, it's so fabulous. Well, my friends, look at that. I've given you 2 minutes back of your life. So you can do anything you wish with it, to include stick around here and chat, which we often do for a good 5 or 10 minutes. So if you're signing off, God bless. Have a fabulous week. Thank you again for coming to Sanctuary Online. Be a friend next week and tee up the 29th. It's going to be great. And get reading your books. All right, unmute. I'm going to stop recording and you can chat away, my friends. Thanks again, Ken. Thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
Thanks for all the ornaments, y'all.
Bye.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hey,
Carol,
thank
good to
you.
see you all. Tony, good to see you. Darcel,
Yes.
good to see you, hon. Nice tree. Nice
Darcel. Hi,
palette
Darcel.
background.
Darcel. Okay, so I didn't get a picture into you, but this is my sanctuary at sea. This is our
Oh,
sanctuary at sea
Edie.
commemorative ornament.
I should not do it without the picture. We could have hold it up.
See, that's Edie and that's Mandy next to her.
And that is a
Hi, Rachel. Hi,
white man
Rachel.
on a cow, Darcel.
Wait, what is Santa riding?
That's awesome, Darcel.
Love it.
It's utterly ridiculous.
We're very fortunate to get to go to Michigan, and we can go to Bronner's and pick up ornaments for just about anything we care to pick up an ornament for.
Oh yeah.
Wow.